Rubber band, a rubber band. A rubber band, man.
Hey everybody, it's the Paddleball King. Thanks for tuning in to our video tutorial series. This is installment number 1. First of all, let me say thanks for buying your Paddleball King old school paddleball. At least I'm assuming you bought one. Why else would you be watching the video? If you haven't bought one, what are you waiting on? Get to www.paddleballking.com and find out how you can get one of these rare, ergonomic, old school paddle balls. You know, when you're buying one of these paddle balls, you're not just buying a paddle ball. You're buying a little bit of paddle ball history. Those of you that know me know that I've actually done a little bit of research into the history of this toy, where it comes from, and some of the great makers. Let's start with the pink sponge rubber ball. This ball, actually, I found a supplier in a little town called Liberty, North Carolina, which is just down the road, just down the highway, actually, from High Point, North Carolina, where the old Flyback Toy Company used to be, where they made the old Flyback paddle balls. Probably one of the most famous paddle balls ever made in the history of the toy. It was the one with the bucking bronco on it. The wood itself, I actually had a very hard time finding just the right wood to make these paddles. Looked at all the regular lumber yards here in town, couldn't find what I needed. Finally found this out of the way, off the beaten path, little small specialty wood store that the guy had just the kind of wood that I needed. As I was explaining to the guy that I was going to be making paddle balls with this wood, the guy says, asked me if I ever heard of the Flyback Toy Company. Well, little did he know, I'm a paddle ball historian. So I said, yes, I know a little bit about Flyback Company, and come to find out the guy used to actually supply wood to the Flyback Toy Company. So pretty cool. The ball comes from a company just down the road from the Flyback Company. The wood comes from a company that used to supply wood to the Flyback Toy Company. The rubber line actually comes to me from Brad Countryman, who actually owned BC Toy Company and Hummingbird Toy Company. They both made yo-yos, tops, and paddle balls. Once again, some of the better ones, more well known throughout the history of the toy. Brad happened to have an extra box of line around, actually 27,000 miles of rubber line. He gave me a good deal on it, and supposedly the line was personally hand-selected by Bouncing Dan, the paddling man, kind of a paddleball legend, if you will. He hand-selected the line as being the best for the paddleball. So there you go. All the components, the rubber band, the ball, and the wood, all have a historical connection to the history of paddleball. Kind of cool. I'm going to deal with one more question, one more issue before I say goodbye in installment number 1, and that's the question of string length. People always want to know when they're first starting out, what's a good length of string? What I recommend is when you're first getting started to have a length of string that's about, if you hold the paddle straight up, about as long as the bottom of the handle or maybe an inch or two below. And that gives you enough string to get a good hit as a beginner, but not so long that it's hard to control. Now, of course, as you get a little more skilled, as you get a little more advanced, and you want to try different moves, you can simply unwind the line from the handle and let it slide through the paddle. Yes, it is an adjustable line paddle ball. And for some of the more advanced moves, I recommend, like maybe the string be as long as the ball hangs down to your elbow, or a little bit below your elbow, about like that. So somewhere between here and there, depending on your skill level, depending on the tricks you're trying. So there you go. That's it. Installment number 1's a wrap. Be sure and tune in for installment number 2. We're going to actually tell you how to repair, maintain, and take care of your paddle ball. So once again, thanks for buying one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And keep paddling.